This is the Whole Care Network. Helping you tell your story one podcast at a time. Content presented in the following podcast is for information purposes only. Views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the host and guest and may not represent the views and opinions of the Whole Care Network. Always consult with your physician for any medical advice, and always consult with your attorney for any legal advice. And thank you for listening to the Whole Care Network.
Hello, my friend. This is Isabel Melgarejo, and this is a Time to Care the Caregivers podcast. Today, I want to talk about mental health, and I want to talk about all the things around mental health and how we are perceiving mental health nowadays. I'm also dedicating this episode to all of my friends out there who are struggling with any kind of mental health. And I am dedicating this episode to you if you're struggling with anything mental health. Let's get started. As I mentioned earlier, I am dedicating this episode to all of my friends who are struggling with mental health. And I want to dedicate this episode to them because two very close friends of mine are struggling with issues right now with mental health. And I am struggling with mental health until a couple of weeks ago that I completely disconnected from everything. But the truth is, a lot of us are struggling with one way or another of mental health. First of all, we don't talk about that. We are so afraid of the consequences of saying that we're struggling with anything related to our mental health. Second of all, a lot of people just think that because you're putting everything in and you are putting the effort in, you're going to be successful. And the truth is, that doesn't happen. You can put the effort, you can put all it's in you and still fail because there are other things that make things happen. So let's say, for example, if you're in school and you're a student and you're failing a class, then your teachers might tell you to study and you may or may not pass the class. If there is no way for you to know how to learn the topics, you are not going to pass the exam because it is not on you and up to you to pass. And it doesn't matter how much you study, how much time you spend reading the contents and trying to get those contents into your head. If you're unable to retain that information for whatever reason, then you are not going to pass those exams. And same happens with mental health. Not because you do all of the things that are on the book, not just because you have time for yourself or practice meditation or any of the things. You can have maybe you're very good, your diet is perfect, you check all of the boxes. But if you don't have a support and all of the things that I'm going to be talking about today, then you're not going to be successful. So talking with this good friend of mine, she struggled for many, many years with mental health. She will continue to struggle because that's the way she was born. The only difference now is that she is well medicated. Her episodes are controlled. So that is great news. And talking with her, we were talking about how a lot of people would tell her just to put all the effort and give everything to it. And she was still having those horrible lapses and crashing down. And it was terrible. And And during these conversations, we talked about 4 very important things that need to happen in order to be successful with your mental health plan. The first one is to have a team of experts, and that is a team of people that support you, a group of people that are not going to judge you for whatever it is. And that is the first step, like finding that group of people that will support you and will provide the care that you need in this moment. That can be a therapist, a psychiatrist, other doctors, maybe a nutritionist, maybe a coach, maybe a physical coach, and an amazing group of friends that don't judge you. If you know someone who's struggling with mental health, don't judge, because we don't know what's going on through their lives and we don't know exactly what they're going through. That is why it is so important that we just be there for them, that we open the space for them to open up, to talk about their struggles, and just listen to them. We can be that perfect person for someone, and maybe you need a person like that in your life. We all need these kinds of relationships in which we just talk about it. So be that person for someone else and find that group of people in which you can just rely and talk about whatever. Then we need to talk about a plan. And a plan is usually given by someone who knows exactly and understands the problems that we're going through. This can be a therapist or a doctor or a group of people. I think we all are very aware of nutrition and health plans, and we have all these health coaches, and they give you a meal plan and an exercise plan. So the same happens with mental health. You need a plan to get better. You need a roadmap to get to where you are. Even if you're a professional, and probably if you're a professional, you don't need to hear this. You need to rely on somebody else to give you that plan. The reason why we need to rely on an expert to give us the roadmap to success is because we need someone with fresh eyes to walk through us. For example, my cousin, she's a pediatrician. Her husband is a pediatrician, and they go, even though both of them are experts and both of them are doctors and know everything. Well, I don't, probably not everything there is to know, but they are professionals in health. They take their daughter to another pediatrician to take care of her. And because that third person brings another perspective and can have a better control. He's not biased just because it's their daughter. Same with you. I know if you're an expert, you probably are doing this, but even more so, if you're not an expert, you need the support of someone who is. And we all need this support because we are all biased in our lives. There are things that we don't necessarily see about ourselves, but somebody else can see those things for us. So that's why we need this plan given by an expert. That expert, obviously, it has to be someone you completely trust and completely, you can put all your faith in that person. Once you have that plan, I think the second 2 steps are very, very hard. The first one is execution. Oh man, this is hard. And harder than many would think. You can have your routine, your meal plan, and all of your exercises, but executing, it's so hard. It is very, very, very hard because that requires you putting all of the effort and doing it. And let me tell you something. It is very hard because creating new routines and failing while doing it, it's just hard. And that happens if you've noticed right now that it's August. It's 8 months since we set our goals for the year. I don't know which goals you propose for yourself. Whatever it was that you wanted to achieve at the beginning of the year, have you achieved it? Have you gone back to your goals and read them and see what you're doing and if you're still consistent and if you're still doing it? If your goal was to lose 10 pounds, have you lost 6 or 7 pounds so you can achieve that goal by the end of the year? If your goal was to stop drinking, have you achieved it? If your goal was to have a pretty garden, is it pretty right now and during the summer? Did you plant all the flowers that you wanted to plant? I don't know. It is a good way to know it. And it is so hard because that requires the effort. And we begin with a lot of effort. We start putting all of the work and we start putting all of us into our goals. And our goal can be mental health. So we start doing all of the things. But after a few weeks, we drop things because we get tired, because we give priority to other things, maybe because we're feeling better, maybe because we are not paying attention, as much attention as we should, and we just drop doing the things. We stop attending our sessions with our therapist. We stop taking our medications because we feel great. We just stop doing what we were supposed to do. We stop doing that out of the plan. Maybe it is part of the plan to stop taking those medications. If that is the plan, then good for you. But if that is not part of the plan, that means that eventually we're going to fall back again into patterns in which we shouldn't be. And we are going to relapse into our mental health issues. So this part of the execution and just doing every single day what we're supposed to do, it's so hard. This is where your support system goes. If you have a great support system, you will have someone telling you like, hey, you have to come back to this. Come back, go back to your routine. Let's create new habits, etc., etc. That is crucial for all of us because that's when we start growing. When we start doing and creating these routines and habits, that leads us to consistency. And here is the key for success. The key for success is being consistent throughout the time. Going back to the example of health and losing weight, the hard part is not losing 10, 20, 30, 50 pounds. The hard part is keeping and maintaining the weight that we want to keep, because that requires us to be consistent, to keep doing the hard things over and over forever. And the same happens with mental health. Just because you have achieved a good mental health status, that will require work from you all of the time. I've been dealing with a lot of stress, and I've been dealing with burnout for several months. And for 2 weeks, I completely disappeared. And right now, as I am recording this at the end of my vacation time, I'm recording this knowing I'm finally sleeping well. And that will require a lot of work on my part to keep my stress levels low so I can keep sleeping well the rest of the year until I get time to disconnect again. That will require a lot of effort on my part. That will require effort on me on just disconnecting once a week, every Sunday maybe, and not worrying about what there is, and just relaxing and enjoying life. And that will require of me to pay attention every single day on how stressed I am. And that will require it of me to say no to many things, even though I might feel stressed or I might feel that I need to say yes. But even if that happens, I need to be strong enough to say no and to prioritize my stress levels, making sure that I'm not putting more things on my plate that I can handle. And I'm working with a group of therapists that are helping me create that plan every single day to manage those stress levels. It will require of me doing the homework, journaling and meditating and attending therapy. As I am recording this, I know that even though today I feel great after 2 weeks of not working in any regard and after disconnecting, I know that if I don't keep my stress levels as low as possible, I'm going back to my burnout level that I was 3 weeks ago. And I'm sharing this with you because the same way as some of my friends are struggling with mental health, you might be struggling with stress, anxiety, burnout, or some other things. Create that group of people that will support you, that team that will give you love and support. Build that plan with experts that only have your best interest in mind. And if you want someone who's there for you, that can walk through you through this process, I am here for you. I know I'm the right person for you in this process because I'm struggling with you right there. I'm not immune to any of this. So I can be that support for you and we can be there for each other. If you want to know more about how I can be part of that team that supports you, get some time in my calendar and let's talk. See you next week.
This is the Whole Care Network. Helping you tell your story one podcast at a time.